In my videos, I often talk about hardy and touchy succulents. What I mean by this is that some species and cultivars are hardier than others. For instance, Crassula ovata, also known as the jade, or Graptopetulum paraguayans, also known as the ghost plant, are some of the toughest succulents I've ever grown. On the other side of the spectrum are cultivars such as Echeveria romeo. It is one of the prettiest succulents out there, but an incredible pain in the backside to grow. While Crassula ovata is a species that naturally occurs in nature, Echeveria romeo is a cultivar created and bred in a nursery for its pretty colors. In one of my other videos, I made a remark about tough and not so tough plants, and someone left a comment asking if there is a way to tell whether a succulent is well bred or not. I assumed they meant if one can tell whether a plant is tough or not, but there is more ways than one to look at this question and a great opportunity to talk about tough, well-bred and hybrid succulents. The answer to all of this is a bit complex, but I think it will all make sense by the end. First, let's approach this question from a single species level. Meaning, can you tell if any of these Aeonian plants is better bred or better quality than the others? On the surface, they all look pretty much the same, and frankly, I couldn't tell if there's one that's better than the rest. I've grown this tray of Aeonium from tissue culture, and this means they should technically all be identical. But this is not always the case, as plants can mutate. It is not unusual that one or two out of a few hundred will die abruptly despite growing in the same conditions as the others. Some will also grow a bit slower than the others, and this is likely due to mutations. The trick is that this usually does not manifest until the plants are a bit bigger and you have to have a fair few to compare. The problem then arises when these weaker plants with mutations that inhibit growth or make them most susceptible to disease are then propagated from, as they can create inferior offspring. If I see a plant that is clearly struggling or not growing as well as the others for no reason, I usually retire it into the garden bed so I don't propagate from it in the future, but not everyone does this. So, back to the original question, it is quite hard to tell if a succulent is well bred or comes from a good quality explant if you're in a garden center or a nursery, unless you have a fair few of the same species on display to compare to. Having said that, there are a few things you can do when buying a plant to make sure you're getting the best on display. First, go for plants that have the most spotless leaves. For instance, this Echeveria rubin is definitely a good quality plant. I've now had it in my personal collection for over 5 years, and it is one of my toughest plants. Second thing to watch out for is fallen and dying leaves. Although succulents will naturally lose bottom leaves from time to time, sometimes it's a sign of a struggling plant. This Echeveria elegans has a small number of leaves at the bottom that have died off, which is completely normal and nothing to worry about. The rosette is still looking lush and healthy. But if 2 or more rows were dying or if leaves were falling off in the pot, I'd be getting concerned. If you have a choice of more than one plant, get the biggest, healthiest looking one out of the lot. If you pick the most robust succulent with leaves that have no or very few marks and not many dead or dying leaves, you should end up with a fairly good plant. Please keep in mind that you are buying a living thing, and sometimes, even if you do everything right and buy the most healthy looking plant, it does not guarantee it will grow well. Now let's talk about if you can tell whether a succulent is well bred or tough from a multi-species level, meaning looking at a bunch of different types of succulents. There are so many succulents to choose from right now, and new varieties or cultivars and hybrids are being created all the time. If you're interested to read what the difference is between a cultivar and a hybrid, I've put a link in the description to one of our articles. Once upon a time, hybrids were mostly created to make better, tougher plants. But as the popularity of succulents soared, a new wave of hybrids and cultivars entered the market. These were mostly bred for their looks rather than hardiness. The truth is that a lot of new hybrids on the market these days are just not well bred at all. They may look pretty, but they will be an absolute pain to keep alive. The problem is that it is very hard to tell whether a succulent you're buying from a shop is going to be well bred or tough. They're going to look pretty at the point of sale as they were likely grown in perfect conditions in a cozy greenhouse, but when you throw them into the real world, they will struggle. My advice here is to do a quick research online and get a list of hardy succulents suitable for whatever you plan to do with them. So if you're looking for hardy garden succulents for full sun, search that. I also have a video with my favorite tough varieties that I'll link to at the end of this video. In conclusion, it is very difficult to tell whether you're looking at a well-bred succulent when you're out and about shopping for plants, especially if you're new to succulents. In my opinion, the best thing you can do to pick good quality plants is to arm yourself with information and get a list of varieties that are hardy and suitable for what you aim to do with them. The second best thing is to buy the healthiest looking robust plants. And thirdly, if there's a succulent you like and it is named, research the name and see what other people have to say about it. And that's it for today. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any more questions or you'd like to add something, you can leave a comment below. If you'd like to learn more about succulents, subscribe to our channel or visit our website succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you very much for watching.